All right, if you're having issues with either contacting the IRS or getting a tax issue resolved, here's some tips you could take. Joining us is CPA Kimberly Washington. Kim, as always, thank you so much for joining us. So if someone is still waiting for the IRS to process a back year tax return, what steps should they take?
Right, so a lot of people, of course, may be listening. Of course, you filed a prior year tax return, but you're still waiting for the IRS to process that tax return. There are a couple of different steps that you can take. You can head over to the irs.gov website and create an online account. You can also make sure that you are current with your current tax returns, because many people ask, can I still process my new tax return with still waiting for the IRS? And last but certainly not least, there are a couple of tools you can download to your phone. One is called Where's My Refund? You can check the status of your tax return there, but you definitely want to make certain that you contact the IRS.
Now, Kim, the IRS reported previously that most backlog returns are due to paper filings. What are tips for someone who is considering filing a return by paper?
Right, so if you have that option, try not to, right? Make sure that you e-file your tax return. But if you do have to file by a paper tax return, one of the things, of course, that you do want to do is make sure that you mail the documentation with a return receipt so that the IRS can make sure that they record the return being on process. And the second thing, of course, that you want to do is just make sure that your tax preparer files that tax return for you and have some type of receipt showing that it did receive to the IRS.
And Kim, what if someone has been impacted by a disaster and may have trouble filing or paying? What steps should they take?
All right, a lot of people don't realize this, but there's a special designated telephone number that you can call the IRS, especially if you've been impacted by, of course, a disaster. That number is on the screen, so you make certain that you do contact it. But the number is 1-866-562-5227. You can call them, let them know your situation. They can guide you through the steps, of course, if you have been impacted by a disaster.
And Kim, finally, we know many people are attempting to reach out to the IRS, but not able to. What should people do?
Right, so the first thing you want to do if you're working with a tax professional, have them to call on your behalf, because they have a special line where they can get in contact with the IRS a lot faster than you. So that's the first step. Of course, you do want to look at certain days where the IRS is less busy, and those days are typically on a Wednesday or Thursday or Friday. And last but certainly not least, again, you do want to head over to the irs.gov, create an online account. That's the best way to find out information concerning your personal tax situation or your tax return.
All right, Kim, walk carefully, okay? Gyms are all over the place. As always, thank you so much for your time and everything.
Thank you so much. I appreciate you.
I appreciate you. All right, let's go.